Good morning, Senator.
Glad to be with you. I wish it was about a different topic, but thanks for having me.
Well, I know we regard this, we look at the election as the most important event coming up, but we regard this issue as the most important thing on the plate for the country right now. And I'm delighted that you're going around. You're going to be doing some touring and some speaking on this, going to states with bases and so on. And tell us what's at stake, Senator Graham, with this sequestration.
The future of our ability to defend America.
Okay.
Devastating cuts, the smallest Navy since 1915. You're a hero. Your old boss, Ronald Reagan, wanted a 600-ship Navy. How many ships do we have today, Bill? Do you know?
No, I don't.
285.
Wow.
If sequestration becomes law, which is a penalty for the super committee failing, a $600 billion cut to defense on top of the 487 we've already done, it means we'll go down to 232 ships. How do you go into the Pacific with force with 232 ships? It means the smallest Army since 1940. It means 100,000 troops coming out of the Army on top of the 72,000 we've already cut. It means the smallest Air Force in the history of the world, in the history of America. It means no more F-35s, no more modern fighters, no more new tanker. It means that those who are serving in the military will be sent off to future wars ill-equipped and unprepared. It's the dumbest idea because the super committee failed to achieve $1.2 trillion in cuts. The Congress, in its wisdom, decided to take half of that $1.2 trillion as a penalty out of the 19% of the federal budget called defense. Ronald Reagan is rolling over in his grave. Republicans have their fingerprints on this. When you're $16 trillion in debt, you should be reducing defense spending, but you shouldn't destroy the Defense Department. Sequestration blindly cut $600 billion on top of what we've already done. It would destroy the finest military at a time when we need it the most.
Well, there is a ton to think about in what you just said. I want to disaggregate some of that and get into some details. How many stops will you be making, Senator, on your visits?
We're going to Las Vegas, and we're going to tell Harry Reid, you're the Senate Majority Leader, get off your butt and get in gear. We're going to go all over the country. My challenge is let's fix this at least in the first year. It takes effect in January. $55 billion comes from the Defense Department in January 2013, and you take $55 billion for a decade. Again, I know we're in debt. The Defense Department has been wasteful. We're changing defense practices. We've already cut $487 billion. Sequestration, the penalty clause for the super committee failure, begins in January. The Department of Labor under Barack Obama issued a ruling yesterday saying that defense contractors do not have to put people on notice they're going to lose their job. Under the Warren Act, there's a federal law requiring defense contractors to notify their employees because of defense cuts they may be losing their job. Well, that law requires the notices to go out Friday before the election, and Barack Obama's Department of Labor is telling the defense world they don't have to do that because Congress may change the law. This politics of this issue just reeks.
Yeah, I understand. Let me ask you the big question. Do you think everything you know, and you know as much as anyone, more than almost anyone, I can't think of anyone who knows more about this, do you think this will happen?
Yeah, it's going to happen because there's three ways to offset. The House passed a legislation that avoided sequestration. Paul Ryan's budget took $22 billion off the table in 2013, even though it's a $28 billion. It's a $55 billion cut beginning in 2013 for 10 years. The House did it by cutting food stamps and social programs, and not one Democrat voted for it. What does Barack Obama do to fix sequestration? He raises the top tax rates. He takes tax increases to pay for it, and none of us are going to agree to raise tax rates. What we proposed is that when 3 federal employees retire over the next decade, just hire 2 back. But here's the point. There's 3 different ways of avoiding sequestration. No one's in a room trying to bring us together. The President of the United States is sitting on the sidelines. He's trying to avoid the layoff notices because it would hurt him politically. He's also trying to exempt personnel. Well, if you exempt personnel from the devastating cuts, you'll have people in the military with no weapons.
Yeah, we heard this yesterday, the uniform personnel, right?
This is unbelievable because of the politics. He wants to be able to say
I see.
on Tuesday, November, whatever day it is, oh, don't worry, no military members are going to be hurt. Well, if you exempt personnel, which is one of the largest parts of the budget, then all the cuts have to come from equipment and readiness. But yes, it's going to happen because there's no political leadership. The commander-in-chief is AWOL. We should be down at the White House. John McCain, Lindsey Graham, Barack Obama, the heads of the parties should be down there trying to fix this for 1 year. If you can't get it all fixed, certainly get the first year off the table, which is not that heavy a lift before the election.
Is there any?
You need leadership.
Is there any prospect of that meeting, such a meeting, taking place? Any realistic?
Meeting with Senator McCain, Kelly and Democrats, and here's what we're doing. I'm willing to. I would get beat before I would allow the military to be devastated during the times in which we live. Here's what we're saying. Don't raise tax rates. That's a dumb idea. That will kill jobs. But the Bowles-Simpson Commission took some deductions and exemptions off the table, and they took that money that went to a few people like ethanol producers, brought it back into the Treasury, they paid down debt, and they lowered tax rates. What I'm suggesting is that let's look at other areas of the budget to cut for 1 year. Let's take a little bit more out of defense because there's still some waste that we can get, and put revenue on the table by eliminating some tax deductions and loopholes for the special interest groups. Take some of that money to avoid sequestration for a year, and everybody has to give a little bit. Mandatory spending, Medicare, Social Security, these programs are wildly out of control. Take some from those programs, and the next thing you know, you'll have the money you need to fix it for a year. That's my proposal, where everybody gives a little bit.
Are there any Democrats in your chamber, in the Senate, who will work with you or who might agree with you on this?
There's three, but here's what we need. We need, we need to build. We need leadership. We need the President of the United States. We need, quite frankly, Mitt Romney, saying, here's what I would do to avoid devastation. Without leadership, it's hard to get followership. But, yes, we have a handful of Democrats, but we're just 5 or 6 of us, and this is August. We're going out of session today for about 6 weeks on vacation. When we come back in, we've got 10 legislative days left. The layoff notices in some states have to go out in October. And once you start down this road, chaos begins to reign for defense planners. You served with my political hero, Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
You were at his side. You were mentored by him. And here's what hurts me the most. It was our Republican leaders who agreed to the concept that if politicians fail to do their job in the super committee, let's fire a bunch of soldiers. We got it wrong. We should fire the politicians and keep the soldiers. Yeah,
I understand. One of the problems, it seems to me, I mean, you mentioned Romney here. It'd be great to hear from him on this, the kind of eloquence he exhibited in Israel and Poland. But issues, priorities. I mean, how much, I know you always get a lot of mail, but my guess is you're not overwhelmed with people writing about this. Maybe you are from military people. We're not overwhelmed. We have a great and intelligent audience, but the issues are the economy and jobs and federal deficits and so on. We do not get a lot of alarm about the cut defense reductions and the weakening of the position. And this is, after all, right, Senator, the main responsibility of government, according to the founders, is the defense of the country.
According to the founders and Ronald Reagan and the Party of Peace through Strength, the Republican Party I grew up in, this is the number one role of the federal government. But let me tell you what awaits the private sector. There's 1.1 million jobs that will be lost if sequestration is implemented fully. That's according to the American Aircraft Association. 1.5% increase in unemployment. You're talking about reducing the Defense Department's budget on top of what we've already done, by 25%. What did Ronald Reagan do in his first 2 years? He increased military pay by 25%. He rebuilt the military after Jimmy Carter, and we won the Cold War. What signal are you sending to our allies and to Iran when you march down the road of sequestration as they're building up their military in China? So I'm on your radio program begging people to call their congressman and senator and say, please, don't start down the road of destroying the military because you couldn't reach a deal with a super committee. It will devastate the defense industrial base. You will have a massive reduction in our ability to defend ourselves at a time when we need the military.
We're going to have to let you go in a minute, but you said there were 3 ways to do this. I think I heard one, which is what you proposed, the one-year plan. What are the other 2?
Well, I said there's 3 different approaches already to pay for this thing, but there's no bipartisanship. Everybody has their limited view of doing it. I'm saying give a little from all 3 areas. Reduce the government some, eliminate some deductions and loopholes, and also look at the military for a little more spending cuts. But we're just about into the bone now. Here's what Leon Panetta said. You know Leon.
Yes, I do.
He's a good Democrat, but he's also a good American. He said it would be a Navy without ships, an Air Force without pilots, an Army without bullets. It would be shooting ourselves in the head. It would be the most devastating event to the Department of Defense since World War II.
All right. Well, let me interrupt just a second. Maybe Barack Obama, is too rude to return your calls or John McCain's calls, but he's got to return the calls of his own Secretary of Defense, doesn't he?
Well, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, all have said this will destroy the military. These are people we rely on for our military military leaders to make political decisions. Leon Panetta has said we'll be shooting ourselves in the head. This is something you can't plan for. It's too much. The Chairman of the Joint Chiefs said it will destroy our military. The Marine Corps Assistant Commandant said, you do this, we can't go to one fight, one contingency, much less 2. Why aren't not only the President, but where is the urgency here by members of Congress who have a duty to take care of those? Who's going to fight for the ones fighting for us? This is our number one obligation.
Got it. Well said. Couldn't be better said. Thank you, Senator Graham.
I can't thank you enough for the time, and I will give you an update on our progress.
Godspeed. And as you go around the country, we understand you're going to stop at Chick-fil-A. Is that right?
I had Chick-fil-A. I was with Chick-fil-A before it was cool. Thanks.